Once upon a time there was a young man, and that young man stood at his altar and he said those immortal words, "I do." Well, that young man had a happy married life, and as time progressed he had a few children. And he was asked that other immortal question, "Honey, would you like to change a diaper?" And that young man says, "I don't." Time passed again. Those kids got older. Eventually, he was asked another question. "Honey, do you want your kids to succeed?" And that young man, he says, "I do." And then he was followed up with another question. "How are you going to tell them about drugs and alcohol so they can succeed?" And that young man said, "I don't know." Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eric Winger, and like you, I am a parent. I'm a parent of a 12-year-old, two 10-year-olds, and an exchange student who is 17 years old. I struggle with those questions as well. I don't have those answers. There's no manual that tells me how I'm going to talk to my kids about drugs and alcohol. But thanks to the work of Beaverton Together, I have some information and some practical suggestions which I can give to you to help you prevent your kids from going down those wrong paths. So I'm going to give you 4 things. And this is something I want you to put on your to-do list. Number 1, do set clear, concise rules. How many of you have received instructions from a boss that conflicted? How many? Anybody? Oh, wow, almost all of us. How many of you have received instructions that conflicted from a spouse? As adults, we're confused. "Honey, make the bed." But don't make it like that. Children, teens are the same way. If you set guidelines that are confusing, long, redundant, conflicting, whatever, they're not going to understand. And it's going to be harder for you to explain what you want. No alcohol, no drugs. And by 10, you guys pick. But set clear rules. Number 2, don't social host. Social hosting is when you decide that your kids are going to drink anyway, so you have a big party and you take all their keys because you're going to keep them safe. What kind of message does that send? What does that say to them? Would you want your children to go to a socially hosted party? Well, number 1, it's illegal. I can no more serve your children alcohol than I should to an alcoholic. Very, very concise analogy. Think of this. Your spouse is on a diet. Are you going to give them a box of Twinkies because they might go to the donut store? No. So why would you give your children the same box of Twinkies? You're not going to do it. Number 3, do send them text messages. If your child is out to the prom, send them a message. "Stay safe. Hope you're having fun. Love you. Hey, guess what? Your dad burnt the popcorn again. Hope you're not drinking." Doesn't matter. The point is they know you're there. Children are like kites. They want to fly and roam the sky, but they want to know somebody's holding on. They want that lifeline back. And if you send them a text message, You let them know that you are still there and that you love them very much. Number 4, don't have the talk. Have many talks. Don't have a talk when they're 11 and expect them to remember it until they're 17. It doesn't work. Look for those teachable moments. Cooking. Watching a show on TV. Talk about it. Here's a good example. My son found out that I was going to be speaking for Beaverton Together. And we talked about what it was. It was an anti-drug and alcohol group. And my son says, "But Dad, you drink beer. Why should you be talking about drugs and alcohol?" You know what I said to him? You ever respond like that to a question from your teenager? That's a hard question. But what it did is it opened the door, and we talked about it. And I said, look, I'm not perfect. But when I'm drinking, number 1, it's legal. I'm over 21 years old. It's in my home, and I'm consuming it safely. I'm not suggesting that you should, son. Think about, do you remember way back? Remember way back when you were a teen? Barely. Okay. Did we go out to have a drink like this? "Oh, Sophie, this glass of port is to die for. And how did you do on that algebra test? Oh, was it well? Did you well?" No, for heaven's sakes. It's more like this. "Hey, Bobby, give me another one. I'm on my 8th. They want to go get drunk. That's what teens want to do. There's a difference. Abuse is what we're trying to prevent. Look, I'm not a teetotaler. I don't expect anybody to expect me to be perfect. Your children know you're not perfect. Be honest with them. Have those conversations. Have lots of them. I've given you 2 do's and 2 don'ts. Make your own to-do list. There are many more things we can do, and I'll talk about them in March at the Beaverton Town Hall event. Today was just a sampling. It's important that we open the lines of communication to our kids. It is important that they understand that we are there for them. Practice listening. Come to Toastmasters. Learn how to listen. But be there for them. No, that young man, who's not a young man anymore, he doesn't know all the answers. But he does know a couple do's and a couple don'ts. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this helps you. And I hope you can take these messages home to your children. Mr. Toastmaster.